So how can you speed up integration? Well, the way to speed up integration is by decreasing the amount of time in between insight and integration. So how it unfolds is that you have an insight and then you integrate that insight through aligned action. Now, most people take a lot of time between the insight and the integration. Most cling to an insight, or they are searching for the next insight instead of integrating that insight that they just had. And others experience too much hesitation, which is really just fear. The fear of taking action. So if you can decrease that time, that lag, the hesitation between the insight and integration, then you are going to be integrating insight after insight after insight and after insight through aligned action. It's through the aligned action that integration happens. Realization without integration is useless. You've realized something, so what? But it's the aligned action that you integrate that realization into everyday life. And that's where it becomes practical. That's when you start experiencing your life transforming. But without that integration, there's no transformation. So it's about the aligned action. You've realized something, you've had an insight, but now are you aligning to that insight? Are your actions aligned with that insight, or do they simply remain the same? And you see that when they remain the same, then there's no integration of that insight. And that's the lag that I'm talking about. You can sit with that insight for weeks, months, years, as many do, and nothing will transform. But if you can quickly take the aligned action, you'll see that you start integrating that insight, which then speeds up this cycle. Because really that's what it is. It's this cycle where there's usually what you experience as a challenge in your life, that then you become aware of the challenge. To get through the challenge, you have to become aware of something. This is the insight. But nothing changes unless that insight is integrated. Once that insight is integrated, it's no longer something that you're integrating, because now it's embodied. And this is the cycle of transformation. It keeps going on and on and on. So the less time between the insight and the integration then speeds up the process. You simply experience more cycles of that transformation. And this is really the cycle of transformation, as well as it's the path of mastery. Over and over and over. New challenge, new insight, integration. Now that's embodied. And then it's repeated. And you see that it's going through that cycle, or having that cycle repeat over and over. But it's not through repetition. The stages are the same, but the insights, the integration, the challenges, the embodiment, that is all different. And as much as I'm painting the picture as a cycle, it's not really like a cycle as in a circle. It's actually more of a spiral where you're deepening through every revolution. So every revolution is really your evolution. Just like how there is less time between the insight and the integration, you'll see that there's going to be less time between the challenge and the insight. That's why a lot of people stay at the challenge for so long, is because they lack the insight. That insight, it's like the aha moment. It's like you haven't seen, it's there right in front of you, but you haven't seen it from that new perspective. And it's from that new perspective that then you are able to make a different choice. But if there's hesitation from taking aligned action, from that new decision, from that new choice, then you see that you're just actually stalling at the insight, and nothing changes, nothing transforms, nothing's integrated. Everything simply remains the same. You didn't actually integrate the insight. You simply have the insight. And for most, this is what they do. They collect the insight. It's conceptual because it's only when it's integrated that it becomes experiential. And all the conceptual candy doesn't do anything in terms of transforming your life. Transforming your life requires the integration, because transformation is experiential. So if you're ready to integrate, if you're ready to speed up the integration, you're ready for transformation, then I invite you to step into the fire of transformation, to start taking aligned action, to start embodying that realization. So join me in living truth.